Live now. 2 viewers. All right. We are live. Welcome back, students. I hope you're all doing well. I realize there's not a lot of you here today. That's okay. I still love you that are here, and those watching later, in theory, will be here. And so this is our last lecture, our last online lecture, live online lecture for BADM 420. Next week, your project is due by May 5th, Tuesday, May 5th by 11:59 p.m. You need to send it to me and the company. So you'll send the email to the company and then CC me on that. And I'll print those out here at home and I'll grade them and read through them and figure out stuff there. And so we'll do that. So I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I realize that we're getting towards the end of all this online education, and it's been a drag. It has not been the best educational experience for a lot of people, and I'm sorry for that. And I hope that we can do something to at least make this bearable for the last class. So our last online lecture, what we're going to do is continue on with our content strategy, and we're going to look at it contents in terms of stuff we're going to be doing on our websites. So you might be analyzing the websites of your companies that are there and things like that. And what you have to realize is our website can do a lot of things. Okay, it's not just there to be there. Okay, it can do a lot. And what we want to think about is you want to kind of use it. This is where you're going to sell. Remember, social media is that community building. Your website is really geared towards buy my stuff. My stuff is great. Buy now. That's what you're really trying to do, because you're trying to motivate your customers on your site to actually purchase. Okay, that's why you're offering those deals. And hey, check out now. Don't forget this deal. Order now. You get this for free. Here's our price. Call us up here. Here's our number. There's our search. You're doing all those things, okay? So you're trying to motivate people, okay? And the thing is you want to motivate them to buy, but also you might want to motivate them to non-buying things as well. You might want them to get more information, learn more, give me your email, sign up, all kinds of stuff you could be doing for that, or, and so kind of think about it that way as well. So it's not, I know the overall goal is to sell, but you're not going to sell all the time, okay? Sometimes just sharing content or whatever, sharing your ideas, okay? And the thing is your website's really going to help you confirm to the customers what you're there for, what you're doing, what's your area of expertise, all that kind of stuff. That's what they're trying to do. Sorry, Actually, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn that light off. Note to self. If I ever need to redo my stuff, get the no glare reflection glass, though it's stupid expensive, so maybe not. Anyway, what you want to do your website is just prove who you're there, validate people, the work you're doing, validate who you are, because you don't want people to go to your website and go, wait, who is this? What is this? You want to make sure you're putting those things in there, and that's why right now a lot of the websites have their little COVID note up top. We're here for you during COVID. We're doing stuff for COVID. Here's what we're doing to mitigate risk. Here's how you can order online. They're doing all those things because they're trying to prove that, look, we're validating. We're still online, even though everything is closed. That's what they're trying to do. Okay? Now, hey, man with a plan. Good to see you. Now, what you also have to realize as a marketer, the website really is part of your job, and you might be, you might not develop it, and you might not be the person who makes the final decisions, and the boss will have their idea what has to be there, but you're the one who has to kind of manage it and make sure things are working right. That's why a lot of times the social media marketers and the website people kind of fall into the marketing communication area, because it's about the communication side of things. So you need to make sure you're kind of up on things, because even if it's not your fault, the website isn't right, it will still be your fault. Like, I didn't do that. It doesn't matter. It's still your fault because it's going to fall into your area. So do make sure you are paying attention to what's going on in the website world, okay? And so if we look at what should be on your website, like one thing you make sure is every single page has your site identity and mission. Like you go on Amazon, it says Amazon and the logo and stuff like that. It's always there in the top left corner. ESPN has ESPN in that corner. CNN has CNN in this corner. You want to have that. People need to know exactly what website they're on, because if you end up someplace and you're not sure where it is, I've got this webcam here that I bought, and this thing sucks. The camera was okay, but the audio was horrible when I tried to do live with it. And you're like, oh, wow, but there's no name. I can't even say why they suck or who sucks. I can just say it sucks because there's no name with it. I'm not really sure. And so that's why you want to make sure, look, website make sure you have the site identity on there. Okay, excuse me. And so also make sure that your website is it's obvious what it's about. Don't leave people confused by it. All right. And also, what you want to do is make sure you have what's called site hierarchy, so people can kind of find like, oh, this is the main reason. So it's like, oh, we have sports, basketball, Chicago Bulls, right? So you kind of have that kind of pathway. So have that hierarchy that's out there. Also realize that everywhere you go, you should have a search on every single thing, because you never want people want to search. Also, you want to have the checkout, buy now button or checkout now button on every single page too, if you have products you sell online, because you never really know when people are going to search for things, or if they're going to want to just go, screw it, I want to buy now, and they'll do that. Okay, so what should be on your website? Well, one thing you have to think about is timely content. Like, what's important to people now? Like right now, I'm trying to figure out what places are open. And if it's a restaurant, are they doing takeaway, or is it delivery only, or what are we doing? You're kind of confused. Is it just drive-through? And so you kind of worry about that. So make sure you're putting timely content up there to help people. And I'll talk about this later when we talk about goodwill in your websites and stuff. But it's really something you got to think about. And that's why if you want people to come back to your website and visit often, you have to update it often. That's why you go back to your ESPNs and your news sites, because there's always new news and new sports. Well, not new sports now, but you get my point. We have these kind of things there. And so you want to think about that. Other thing you can do is you can tease about other things that are coming, or tease other things to explore on the site. You can advertise your deals you have, things like that. But what I think I would say is on your website, make sure whatever your 3 most popular kind of parts of your website are, there's direct links from that. Like people can find it right there. Hey, Eric. Yeah, no, this is my second live feed. I had an 8 a.m. one this morning, and it's 2 now. So yeah, it was a good night last night. Good night. Well, so Samantha Plan says, I think you can check on Google Maps if places are open. Yes, but it's not always right. And that's one thing I've seen, especially when you travel around the world. Google, people, the times and stuff like that on Google, I don't trust them. Just like the Google Maps, when you have to walk around other countries that aren't the U.S., don't trust their driving times, their walking times. It's unbelievable how bad they can be. But they're the only options, so everyone thinks they're great. So you got to think about that. So that's why you're like, hey, let's make sure that we can share the information that's right. Or do you want to trust Google to do what's right for you? Ask anybody. They'll let you know. And I think one thing you got to think about is when you're making your website, you don't want to make people think. Because I know this sounds really horrible, but consumers, the more they think, the less they buy. We don't want them to think. We want them to be like, oh, this is easy. Just click yes and go. So what you really need to do to help people from like thinking too much on your website is make sure you're making everything easy, simple, and obvious. Simple in terms of, oh, one-click shopping. Obvious. Oh, that's the buy button. Like, oh, this is here where I can find the sizes. You don't want people to search, because frustration leads to customers leaving your site. So there is that. Yeah, get your information at Google updated and consistent with your website. Exactly. That's why part of your job is to go and not just look at reviews of your business and stuff like that. It's also to go to Google, all these other things, and do that. And be careful, because there's scam artists that go out there to people that have websites. They just go and they find the directories, who owns the website, and they call them up. Oh, you're missing out on your Google stuff. It'll get deleted. And, and it's BS that goes on. They prey on older website owners too. It's really horrible. Anyway, also, when you're looking at your website, when you're putting it together, realize that no one reads everything. Okay, so make sure you make it as easy as possible for them. This isn't some horrible professor that's like, no, I will only ask a question from one sentence in this huge book. And I've had professors like that before, and they suck. It's like, look, this isn't school. This is real life. You have to make it as easy for your customer as possible. So put it all right there for them. Know that, look, they're not going to read the whole instructions. So let's put a big sign that says, you need to take the plastic bag off before you wear this. There's a reason why we have all those warning labels and stuff like that, because sometimes people make stupid mistakes. And so we just got to make sure everything is as easy as possible for people, okay? Another thing I think is important is focus on what we call sections on your website. It's kind of like you don't just put all the sports together. You see how ESPN will have NFL in one part, soccer in another part, baseball in another part, things like that. And you want to kind of do that and realize, when it comes to search and finding things, people don't go for the best answer. They go for the first best acceptable answer. It's kind of like, how many times do you go to the third page of Google for results? You don't. You find where it's on the first page, right? Because it's on the first page of Google. Does it really exist? To a lot of people, it doesn't. So you have to think about those things, okay? Because that's what people really do. And so we got to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to get our search results up higher, that we're going to be answering the questions people have, all kinds of things, okay? So just some things to kind of think about. Now, when we look at kind of the difference between making our customers think and helping our customers not think, one, if your website just got so much stuff all over it. Now, see how I have like, oh, I've got the shirt here and the website to order the shirts from there, and then there's the feed here, and then the slides up here. There's just so much going on. Where am I supposed to work? Where am I supposed to pay attention? You do things like that, it makes it hard for people to understand. That's why Google did a really good job. That's why Google took over. I mean, Yahoo would be like 4,000 things on that website, yahoo.com, like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look. Google's like, look, just search right there. We're done. So you have to think about that. So having a colored sign is making people think because they have to search for it. Group your information together. Make it as simple as for people to find. That's going to help them not think, and they'll kind of learn where to go. Another thing you want to be careful with is if you leave your customer unsure. If you're not sure what they're supposed to, if they're not sure what they're supposed to click on or where they're supposed to go, or what the next step is. Because a lot of people are feeling, oh, everyone knows what this is. I mean, you see, no, well, you know, like Gui was saying, and Man with a Plan, you're like, oh, Google Maps will do that. Oh, really? Will they? Oh, you got to do it yourself? Oh, it could be done wrong. Oh, someone else could say that they own the company and they could change it? Yeah, they could. And you're like, oh, I thought that would be obvious. No, it's not, okay? Make sure you make it as simple for people that have never heard of you before, which is tough because you work with your company so much. You get used to, like, talking about your company and doing these things. So it kind of leaves you like in this kind of, you know, blinders, and you don't think about it from other perspectives. Okay. So you got to think about that. And so that's why you want to make sure that shopping cart is everywhere. So if people want to buy or add it to the cart, it's right there. Okay. Because if it's unclear how to buy, you're going to lose people. Okay. And I think another thing is just a lot of times when we develop websites and stuff, we try to be like over clickbaity or over like funny or over whatever. And we have to realize is, look, don't get it overcomplicated. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. If you have job postings, you say careers at Wolters World, jobs at the U of I. You don't say jobs-orama or spend your life with us, travel the world with us. You know, no, what? No, that people might not realize that's where they go to find jobs. And so you have to think about those things. Okay. So make it as obvious as possible. Because what you have to realize is you can do a lot to increase the goodwill of your website. To increase the goodwill of your brand, of your company because of your website. But also, if you do a bad job with your website, you can really kind of piss people off and really diminish the goodwill, okay? So what I want to talk about now is just looking at, like, some ways you can diminish it, okay? First thing to say is if your website looks old, if it looks out of date, if it looks like it's amateurish, okay? Spelling errors, things like that. I'm like, come on, like, you should be able to fix those things. Let's get this right, especially on the main parts, because that will really lose, like, credibility, okay? So if your site looks like it's straight out of 1995, made by Homestead, which some of the older people here might remember, yeah, you're not instilling any confidence in those people, okay? So that's what you want to make sure is you look for dead links, you look for pages don't work anymore, you know, the dead websites, dead links, and stuff like that. So do be careful with it, all right? So make sure you're checking that grammar, spell check. Don't write your post directly onto your blog or whatever. Write it in Word. Make sure it's all okay there. Get all the print ready, and then you're going to copy and paste it over to get those things to work, okay? Another thing you want to be careful of is if you hide important information. I mean, this is one thing that always drove me crazy when you'd see like fly to Europe for $50. I'm like, yeah, it's $50 to fly to Europe plus tax, which is like another 50. Well, sorry, it'd be a lot more with the tax. But I remember when I used to live in Europe, you'd see all these deals for Ryanair and EasyJet and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, £1 to fly to Portugal. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get, and you go £1, £2 round trip. Cool. And then you go to pay to be £100. Like, wait, whoa, what happened here? Oh, taxes, things like that. Oh, do you have a suitcase? Oh, you got to pay for that too. Oh, do you want a seat? Oh, I got to pay for that. Oh, you're going to print it out? Oh, we're going to have a fee for that. Oh, you're going to use a credit card? Another $8 on top of that. You're like, what the hell? Hiding that information pisses people off. Okay, so if you have these things, you want to make sure people know about it. Make sure you have those support numbers available. Make sure you're putting in hey, this is, plus tax kind of stuff. I mean, I remember looking at airlines, they used to sell the, to Europe for $400. It's to Europe for $400, but you want to get back home, so it's another $400 to get back. So they could put in that like really great cheap fare, because United did this. That's one reason I got really upset with them, is they would have these like unbelievable fares, but it was only there, not return. You're like, dude, it's not $400. Well, yes, it technically is $400 to Europe, but you still need to pay another $450 to get back, right? So be careful with those things, all right? And that's why if you have hidden fees or anything like that, it can really be an important thing to talk about. I know, especially now, how many of you have Amazon Prime, and usually it's like 2-day free shipping if you have that. And now all the stuff say, look, we are experiencing delays. This is when we expected to actually get there. Here's a heads up for this, because people get upset. It's kind of like I ordered my wife this the handmade cast iron skillet that she'd really want. Her friend had said, this is what she really wants. So it was like one of those things that my wife had told her, if Mark ever mentions this ever, tell him this. And so I got one. I ordered one. I'm like, great, awesome. I ordered it at the end of November. I ordered it, and it was not a cheap thing, okay? I ordered it, and the email comes back, thank you for ordering, great to hear from you. And then I got another email like, oh, due to unusually high demand, the numbers that it gave us our number, it came the end of February. It wasn't even a Valentine's Day gift. I'm like, seriously? Well, I guess it was. It's like middle of February. I'll say it was a late Valentine's Day gift. You're like, what the heck? And so you see, you're like, oh, shoot. Like, if I would have known it wasn't going to get there in time for the holidays, I wouldn't have got that for her. I would have got something else that she could open then. Because I was like, why don't you guys are making these really fancy things? Why don't you send, like, I don't know, a nice card, like in a thing, so you can give it to your friend or your wife or your husband or whoever you're getting this for, and so they have something nice to give. Instead, what they sent was, like, I think somebody got to them and they're like, oh, they sent, I'm not kidding you, it was an invoice saying that you could get, like, here, put an envelope and give them the invoice to let them know it's coming. I'm like, great, because nothing says I love you like a professional invoice. Like, you could have done so much better. Like, things like this will really turn people off. Yeah, so Man with a Plan says, the pound fare is definitely fake. Air passenger dues like 12 pounds a day or whatever per person. Yeah, totally. You need a seat, that'll be extra. Exactly, Tony. Wow, that's exactly the kind of stuff you're talking about. You're like, oh yeah, if you want to stand the whole flight in the toilet while people are using it. Did you want air with that flight? Oh, that's going to cost more. Yeah, things like that. That will really diminish the goodwill. And you see that in real life. That's why you want to make sure that information's there. That's why you're saying, hey, look, due to unusual high call volume, you might want to wait to contact us. So there are things like that. Another thing that can really diminish goodwill, and I kind of talked about this before, is if you're asking for more personal information than you really need. I mean, do you really need to know their middle name? Do you really need to know their, favorite color? Why are you asking all these things, right? Like, if you're asking for things that people don't feel they need to give you, that's when people go, whoa, you don't need that. It's like I tell my students all the time, never give out your email or your phone number when you're buying stuff, because you got a credit card that has a PIN number. You have a credit card that has a magnetic strip and a signature on the back. They've got everything. If you got your driver's license, like, dude, that's me. We're done. They do not need anything else. And so what happens is your website makes people give a lot more information. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. It's like my kids will ask me to get an app, and I'll open it up like, I don't think this kid's game needs access to my camera and my photos and my call history and my contacts, because you're 8. Well, he's 9 now, but you're 9, and that game does not need to have that. Sesame Street doesn't need to know these things. And so when you start asking for too much, that'll turn people off as well, especially when you have privacy concerns and things like that. So you got to be careful with it. Another thing is opting people into programs or making restrictions so they have to be in a program to get what they really want. This is one of the things that always just really, really irked me. It's like trying to get the free Wi-Fi or whatever. You're like, oh, I have to be a member, so I got to sign up and give you all this extra information. Never mind. It just kind of turns people off. If you think back, it's probably been 5 or 8 years ago or something like that. Apple downloaded U2's newest album to everybody's, phone, and everyone's like, "What the hell? I don't have any." Well, yeah, I didn't want to have space for my music thanks to the new U2 album. So there is that. Hey, Qing Dynasty, good to see you back. So you want to be careful with that. And another thing I would say is, what will diminish goodwill is if you punish your customers for not doing things your way. So we have people from all over the world in our little feed here, and I ask, how do you write April 30th, 2020? So, like, I'll put it in the chat here. So the U.S., April 20th is 4/30/20. But if we're in Germany, it is 34/20. If I'm in China, it is 24/30. Now you may think, well, that's kind of easy to figure out, but what if it is, I don't know, what if it's October 5th, 2011? Is it 10/5/11? Or is it 5/10/11? Or 11/10/5? Can you see how you can have some problems there? Can you see how that can be an issue? Yeah, and that's why when you buy plane tickets, you buy bus tickets, you buy Amtrak train tickets, they don't let you put the date in. You have to go and click on what? A calendar. Because they started to see as people were making mistakes. And the thing is, calendars can be different. Like in Germany, calendars start on Monday. The US, they start on Sunday, right? So you have to think about that. Another thing is with diminishing goodwill. Hey, Ching. Yeah, no, you're from Xi'an. I know. We're old buddies, remember? I guess our friendship was more important to me. I was talking about, were you on Ching this morning when I was talking about Xi'an and all the great food and the all the good stuff there? Anyway, all that stuff to talk about. You want to make sure you have all the little things out there, like autofills and stuff like that, to make it easier for people to do stuff. Printer-friendly pages, not the kind like I was printing out my tax stuff for last year, and I can't tell you how many places had like their receipt was 2 pages, and the second page all one line at the top saying there is nothing on this page. I'm like, dude, you could have done 1 page, and then we wouldn't have had to waste paper. So you have to think about that. Now the thing is, though, when we're looking at building our website. Good. I'm glad, Ching. When you're looking at developing your website, you can actually build goodwill. It's not just hurting; it can actually help. And so, if you do your marketing research and look at your analytics, you'll actually see what people are actually want, what they're really looking for. And so, by doing that, you kind of see, oh, on ESPN, I see in the fall everybody likes their fantasy football, so we need to make fantasy football front and center in the fall when football's playing. Like now, no one really cares. But the fall, we know that's when people are going to start doing their drafts. They want to do, or the end of summer and the fall, stuff like that. We need to like change the content that's there, and it's going to make it easier for people. Like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. It's kind of like, when it's, I like tennis, and so it's like Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. Usually, it's hard to find tennis on ESPN. But during that season, tennis moves farther along on the like clicker on the menu there. And it's like, oh, there it is. Boom. I can go right there and get it. They'll have a U.S. Open or an Olympics button. Bing. And you can do that. Helps build that goodwill. Okay. So make sure you're seeing what's most important to them. Have links to those like 3 most important things up on there. Now, other things you want to make sure you're doing is, I remember it said don't hide things. So that means make sure you're telling visitors what they want to know. I mean, be upfront with those things. I know we were talking about this last night. This is like 10 years ago now. Iceland, one of the volcanoes exploded, and you couldn't fly out of Europe. You couldn't fly around Europe for weeks. And so all these airlines had to move flights and change flights and stuff like this. And we're just trying to figure out, like, hey, is our plane going or not? Like, we couldn't figure it out. And so we were in the Netherlands, needed to get back to Portugal, but we were supposed to go to Scotland first. We're like, do we need to figure out a car to get down to Portugal? Like, how are we going to do this? To get around. And then finally, like, EasyJet was cool. They put all these things up. These are these airports on these flights are canceled today. And the next day, and these things like that. So they actually had it right there, like scrolling across the top. Also, they would do that. United did that when there was a strike going on, or almost a strike. Like, these airports will be affected. These flights will not be affected. Like, thank you. You told me what I wanted to know. Even if it was bad news, it's what I wanted to hear. And it makes things a lot easier, and that can actually build goodwill. So make sure you have those things going, okay? Now, other things to say, like I said, as few clicks as possible. Save the clicks, have those autofills. And here's one that always gets me is, like UPS will track all their stuff. UPS will track all your things. Like once you send someone UPS or FedEx, it's always tracked. And what always gets me is when people, they don't send the link, because there's a link that will actually go straight to the UPS thing for you. Like you can just click on that and it'll go there. But these companies don't do it. They say, oh, here's your code. So I have to copy and paste that thing. How have you like copying and pasting stuff from your phone? Nobody likes to do that because you can't freaking do it very well. Oh, wait, I got to get the whole thing. Oh, wait, and I got to copy and then save it or then put it they go to ups.com, find my packet. I'm like, dude, you could have just put this in there. That would build goodwill because now you just pissed me off, okay? So you got to think about that. Save those clicks for people. It goes a long way, okay? Another thing I'd say is if you put your effort into your website, it makes a difference. People appreciate that. They see that. I mean, I've been against 2 different banks. One looks like it's in the 21st century. The other one, straight up still homestead, like homepage. I'm like, oh my God, how is my money safe there? Do you have like mass marauders that come in and rob your bank on horseback? Because that's what your website looks like. You know, and you kind of think about that. Wow, if your website makes you look like old and old-fashioned, you're a bank. Am I going to trust UBL for cybersecurity? I mean, think about the ramifications that these things have, okay? So put effort into it. And with that effort, you also look at having those little extras. Put in those little extra things that make a difference. Like have the FAQ questions, have those forums, have those printer-friendly options, mobile versus your website, all those things, they can really help out, okay? And if you're not sure how your website works, what you're going to want to do is what's called a usability study. Okay, so usability study, basically, you have people test out the usability, how easy it is to use your website. So you actually send them there and say, hey, could you do something on this website? Could you help me with this on my website? Tell me what's happening on here. Because going back to that, we all live in our own little bubbles kind of stuff, because we do. I mean, that's the way it is. I see my life like this. Like, I'm like, how can you not see this? Well, because I'm not a college professor and I don't know what to look for. Oh, right. Sometimes we forget about that. So you have a usability study by getting people that have never used your website before. It takes them time to do that. That's why it's kind of like for my students out there, if there's any of you watching, I'm sure Marcus is out there somewhere. He's a good dude. I'd hire him. But if you look at it in terms of, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. May have to plan about something. Yeah, for something like refunds or deleting your account is making them harder to find negative or positive for the business. So if you're making it harder to find refunds, that's why in deleting your account, that's why they make it hard to do it, because they don't want you to delete your account. They don't want you to get your refunds because they know people will be like, oh, this is so much effort, which then pisses people off. That's why you have some people say, you know what, maybe we should legislate that companies have to make these refunds going. Because it's kind of like, when your planes got canceled, if your flight gets canceled and the airline is the one that cancels it, you get a refund, not credit. You should be getting a refund. And the thing is when all these flights got canceled, all the airlines like, here's your credit. And like, hey, I say take the credit, book some new flights, do that. But if you need the cash, get your money back, right? And they're supposed to give you your money back because they might not tell you those things. And so you can see how people kind of hide those things. It's kind of like, hey, where's your customer service number? That's why I don't like Apple. Like back in the day, they had no customer service. They'd be like, oh, go to the forum. And I go to a forum online and I'm like, yeah, my old iPod. I mean, we're talking like that click, 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 iPod. Do I have that? No, I don't have that anymore. It's gone. But those old dial ones, they're like, yeah, if it's not working, it's stuck. What you need to do is hold it about 3 feet above a hard surface and then drop it so it lands flat on its back and then it'll work. I'm like, wait, you want me to drop this expensive piece of machinery from 3 feet on a hard surface to make it work again? Now, how many of you would take your iPhone, and drop it to make it work? Nobody. So eventually, after not working for like 3 weeks, like, fine, I'll do it. So then I dropped it. It did work, which was nice, but I'm like, look, if it was a real, like, official, like, I am Bob from Apple, you should do this, I'd trust it. But when it's like, oh, this is Frank, who's a level 3 helpful dude on, Reddit. Yeah, no, you got to be careful with those things. Okay? Now, that's why, we're not really sure how things work, so we want to do what we can to help our clients figure things out, so we need to be testing on our website as much as we can. And so we'll have them do different things. We'll say, hey, we want to see what it's like for you to sign up for a class. How do you choose your classes? Now, actually you'll watch what a student does in order to pick a class. They don't just go, oh, I go online, because you know exactly what you need to take. I mean, you have an idea what you're supposed to take, right? You have an idea what you're supposed to take, but you don't always know what you're going to take. So it's like, okay, I think I have to take this accounting class my sophomore year, but I'm not sure. And so like, okay, I'm going to look on the registrar's thing, and then I'm going to look at the accounting page, and then I'm going to look at what's available. And then before I type in, take this class and sign up for it, I'm going to do some research. I might stop by on a, on a review site or something like that, and things like that. Emily says, seems like more of a liability than a solution to me. Which one are you talking about? Emily, which one are you talking about? I didn't see when your thing popped up there. But the thing is when you're looking at these your website, sometimes you do get lost. Yeah, the liability. Yeah, okay, you're talking about the iPod thing, the liability of it. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's why that was the same reason why they make it hard to find the refunds, hard to find the the things we were talking about, the deleting your account, because people can find it eventually, but if we don't, they'll go figure it out on their own. And if you dropped it from 3 feet, we didn't tell you to do that. And I said, well, you sent me the forum. Well, if I sent you to a forum that told you to jump off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? And so you have these kind of things like that. So you got to be really careful. Yeah, dropping the iPod. So thank you, Emily. Yeah. And so going back to the usability things, it's the same reason why you do beta testing, just to see like, look, I'm going to use my website for this. Other people might use it for something else that I'm not even thinking of. So I need them to test out that website to see if it's going to work, okay? So some typical questions you might ask on a usability study, like what page are you on? Like, what do you see here? What is the site? Is it obvious what this site does? And this is one thing I think my students, when they work with companies, a lot of times they get in disagreements. I've had arguments, not me, my students and the companies have kind of like arguments about what the website's really about. And they're like, the company's like, oh, well, it's obvious we do this. You're like, well, looking at your website, it looks like you do that. And the thing is, they're like, well, you obviously don't know my industry. It's like, no, I'm looking at a website that I've never seen before, and I'm telling you what it's telling me. And that's what a usability study does. And you want to hear these things. So you want to know, say, hey, what's the website? What does it do? What are the main sections? What is it meant for? Is it meant to sign up? Is it meant to buy? Is it an educational site? Things like that. Tang Dynasty? Okay. I'll tell your brother I said hi if he doesn't chat. Other things you might want to have them do is like, look, what do you think the options are on this page, and also make sure you always have that search button. Okay, that really makes life a lot easier. Okay, and so usually what I would do now is like one of the things I have my students do is like, hey, you do a usability study on your company's website. Do you understand what it is, and kind of get an idea there, or ask your mom, or ask your dad, or ask your roommate to try out the website to get an idea of what's going on. Hey, Tang Dynasty, Ni Hao Ma. Mark from Xiamen, China. Good to see you. Your brother was saying hi. Qing Dynasty was saying hi. Tang Dynasty, we need the... Well, hold on. What else we need? The Han Dynasty. We'll have some more. There'll be some fun. Ming Dynasty. Got some more there. So cool. See, I like the family trait. Everybody keeps the same name. Very nice. Very nice. So some things I want to talk about with the social media platforms. I just want to give you some basic stuff here. I want to go through some fundamentals of content creation. This is one thing. I went to a YouTube, Google, event, and they went through this. And it was actually, some of the stuff was pretty good. And the people that presented, I'm like, just because you work at Google doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room, though you think you are. So the worst presenters I ever saw worked for YouTube. And Google. It was unbelievable. I'm like, wow. Like, they did their whole presentation from their phone, and they're like, yeah. So I'm like, people left work to come here for this, and you can't even, present? That's pathetic. I was just like, that's pathetic. But everyone's like, I don't want to piss off YouTube. I'll tell them they did a great job. I'm like, no. If you're going to get people to come out of work, man, you got to do better than that. Bring your A game. Or, bring your C game at least. I mean, come on. Anyway, when we're looking at content kind of stuff, remember, content is always king. Regardless of how good your analytics are, how good your SEO is, how good your looking at all this stuff is set up. If you have shit content, ain't nobody going to go to it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how pretty you are, or how cool you are, or how awesome your clothes are and stuff like that. If your content sucks, no one's going to come back. Yeah, clickbait works until people know that, oh, I'm not going to go to that ranker site. Well, Ranker's actually okay, but have you ever noticed that sometimes you'll go back to Facebook or Instagram and say, hide ads from this site because you're tired of their BS? So there is that. Oh, you're Tang is originally from Beijing. I taught at the Minzu Dashua by the National Library, well, more than a few years ago now. Good times, good times. So when I think about that, so always keep that in mind first when you're making content, okay? So have good content. Not just tons of content, have good content, all right? And so if you're looking at what makes kind of like good content, there's different kind of characteristics that can kind of flow into your creative strategy. And not everything works. Right? And every time, you can't do everything every time. These are just kind of overall ideas of things you should be looking for in your posts. So like one thing you might want to look at is what we call shareability. So think about, will people share this content with their friends or families, and why would they do that? Because you may say, this is a great video, but why would someone share a video about Prince Edward Island? They wouldn't. They're just going to watch it because they're going to go there. They might share it if their friends are going to go there. Then they might put it up there. But in general, no. You know that this isn't really super shareable. But we look at it as, what are the things that get you to share? You get to share because there's a picture of you in there. So like, oh, that's me, share. I just shared the article, the Daily Line I wrote on me about my marketing marathon. Why? Because my picture's in it. It talks about me and the marathon and the money we raised, and it had some good information for people that want to donate to the Emergency Dean Fund. So yeah, I'm going to share that because I'm related to it. But also, if it's funny, if it's helpful, people will share those things, okay? So think about that in a way, okay? Yeah, VPNs, man, that's the way to go in China. Totally the way to go. Conversations. Is there some form of the content that's directly addressing the audience? This is where you're always talking to your audience and you know what they like, what they don't like, but what their questions are, and you answer their questions. That's much more going to get them to do things like, oh, you asked me the question and you answered in another video, or you answered in a post, you answered in the questions below in the comments. Awesome. Thank you so much. And so we do these kind of things. And so you kind of think about that. Is there some kind of conversation thing we could be doing? Now, going along with that conversation is also the interactivity side of it. Can we get the audience involved with doing things and stuff? Also, you want to look at your content. What about consistency? Do our posts kind of have a strong recurring element? Is there something that happens all the time? You're like, I start all my travel visit. Hey there, fellow travelers. I mean, look, it says it right there on the back of one of our old shirts. Hey there, fellow travelers. Hey there, fellow traveler. Like everything, every single, this class. Hey there, fellow marketer. It's like, what else can I say? That's my go-to line. You want to have that kind of same intro. That's why on TV shows, they have that intro music and stuff like that. So you know this is the show you're on. It gives that kind of, the theme song kind of stuff happens, okay? So you want to look at that. And that's why, because if you think about it, when you hear a band, even if you don't know that that's your favorite band's song, you could hear the song like, hey, that sounds like Pearl Jam. That sounds like Justin Bieber. I think that's them. You kind of know because you know their sounds. They're consistent with what they produce, okay? Now, another fundamental you need to think about with your content strategy is targeting. Have we defined the audience we want this content to be addressed to? So are we going for, like remember we talked about the casual, curious, committed people, like which one's that for? Or the personas we developed, which one's that for? Like, because if you're going like, it's for anybody, like, no, it can't be for anybody. I got to focus it down. It's not for anybody traveling. It's for families traveling. It's not for just anybody doing things. It's for adventure people. Like, you have to do that. You want to make sure you're targeting, because then it really helps you like talk to somebody instead of talking to everybody. Because you talk to everybody, it doesn't make sense. You're like, wait, what's that guy doing? He's talking to everybody at the same time. Weird. But if you talk to one person, then it makes it much more smooth and it works better, and it's more likely they're going to do it. It's like if you ever get hurt, if you yell for help, people will stand around and do nothing. They'll take out their phones and take pictures of you dying. But what you need to do is like reach out and say, hey, you in the blue shirt, call the police. I need help. Like, you do that, it's going to be much more effective. And that targeting works the same way when you're looking at making content. Okay. Another thing you have to think about is sustainability. So if the audience enjoys your content, can you make more of that content? That's why, people have their one-hit wonders, like for music or on YouTube and stuff like that. And you got to realize, it's like, look, a one-hit wonder you don't make a living off that. It's a one-time thing. You got to have more content that keeps going, so you can keep going and going and going. Because one video that had 10 million views, and I got everything else has 100 views. You're not paying your bills. Okay, I'm telling you right now, you're not paying shit for 10 million views, and that's all you got. All right. So you want to think about, say, hey, can I make more content like this? This is a sustainable kind of thing. And so when you're trying to figure out is what should I be focusing on, that's when you use your analytics to figure out what blogs, what posts, what topics, what things you do, what works, what gets people to come back, what gets people to stay longer. And you look at that and like, hey, can I make more content like that? Okay. Now, another thing you want to look at is what we call discoverability. So will this content show up in trending or common searches? And that's where it's important that with your SEO, you're really describing a lot in your posts and in your site and stuff like that. You're saying like, look, this is a women's lacrosse, homepage for college lacrosse. Like, then like that's a very specific market. We're going there. So people are looking for that. They're probably going to find us. But if I just put it's a sports page, it's too broad. They're not going to find us for those things. Okay. So your titles, your keywords, your topics, they're all relevant to what people are searching for, and make sure that's in there. Because this is one thing I remember a few years ago when a bunch of YouTubers got pissed off because YouTube changed their algorithm, and they're like, "Oh, they're doing all these things." I'm like, "Well, what they did is they actually did what they said they were going to do. Like, your content will need to be helpful to help people find it." I mean, how many of you have seen these things? Blog number 12 or video number 12. I'm like, "What the hell's video number 12? What's the topic about?" "Oh, this is my daily vlog 49. Why am I going to watch daily vlog 49? Like, give me something in there. It's day 49 of quarantine. I got outside. Ooh, I got outside. I want to hear about this." Okay. That's actually yesterday's blog. I'll be posting that. Jocelyn does the titles and stuff like that. She does those. I'll share that on our social media here when we're over with this in a few minutes. So we have that there. But you want to make sure you want to make sure it's discoverable. People can find it, because then when they find it, then they can realize how awesome your content is. So you got to think about that. Hey there, Emperor King. Good to see you too, fellow travelers. Another thing you want to think about, the content you make, is it accessible to everybody, or do they have to know what's going on beforehand? That's one thing you kind of want to think about. And it could be that you might have content that's only accessible for your long-term fans or long-term customers, whereas other times you might have it accessible for anybody that comes in. It's like a first-time kind of thing. Oh, that's what they're trying to do. That's why your favorite YouTubers always upset you when they're like, why do they do that same intro every time? Because there's always somebody that's their first time finding those videos, and so they do that every time. Okay? And then I think one thing that's important is you look at how you can collaborate with your customers or anyone to make content and stuff like that. That can help. There's all kinds of little things out there. Okay? And so if you're looking at your kind of posts or videos or blogs, just make sure you're making them searchable. Like, people can find it. Don't just have blog 52, like have the explanation of what you're doing. Me picking my nose for the 19th time. Whatever. At least that's something. There's people into that. Good for them. You have those things, all right? But when you're making those titles, you don't want to be clickbait. Because what happens is you want to have a very accurate title. Because like Google, if they see that you're saying like, look, this is how to get an A in accounting. And then people like click on that because they want to get an A in accounting. And then they see it's a thing about, oh, well, you can do a different, I don't know, like learn basket weaving instead. Like, wait, that has nothing to do with getting an A in accounting. Well, what the hell? And they're going to click off. The algorithm sees that people went there and then they left really quick. And to them, that's going to show that this site sucks. And if it happens enough time, the algorithm will see this is not answering the question that people are searching for. So that's why you want to make sure your titles and your descriptions and your blog is as accurate as possible, because then people are like, oh, I'm trying to figure out how to get a better grade in accounting, and this video goes through a 5-step way of how to study better for an accounting test. Yeah, that kind of works, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that, all right? Now, overall, when we look at all this content we're creating, all this information we're getting, all this kind of stuff we get from the websites and stuff like that, there's a lot of things you really have to think about. And all that data, all that big data, all the information that's generated, collected, analyzed, stored by all this technology we use every day, I mean, it could be a really big opportunity, but it can be a big headache. So you got to make sure that you're actually protecting that data and all this kind of stuff. I mean, because think about it. Your phone has your Facebook profile, your Gmail account, your Instagram account, Snapchat, Google search history, your credit card statement. So I'm going to guess they can really understand what you do with your life, and they track you everywhere. GPS, yeah. Hey, that's a lot of data, and we can give tailored stuff just for you. It's kind of like, oh, I never thought about this, but they see that, oh, I talk about going to Mexico a lot. My kid, I have videos about Mexico. My last few emails have been about Mexico, and they see I'm, and then GPS sees I'm driving by a Mexican restaurant, like, hey, El Patio, go to El Patio. So you might have things like that, okay? Now, and that's funny. I'm reading on here my note. Like, yeah, when I was engaged, every ad on Facebook was for wedding stuff. Now I get ads on travel and kids stuff. Yeah. So like once it switched from like single to engage or in a relationship or engaged, it was funny because then when it was engaged, it was like theknot.com and weddings.com. Come join us, But what the best part was is when we switched from engaged to married, then I started getting those things for like, oh, are you looking for what was that, Ashley Madison? Like, oh, are you looking for some excitement outside? I'm like, I've been married a day and I'm already getting this crap. What the hell? It's kind of funny, but that's what they do is like, look, that information will tell people a lot. So we have that. Hey, Juan, good to see you back, my friend. And so with that much information that you have about people, you got to be very careful with how you use it, because if you use it in a way where people go, dude, that doesn't seem right, you're going to have some problems. Okay, so I just want to give the heads up for that. So this is kind of like the last thing I wanted to cover for the class. I mean, there's a lot more stuff in the slides that my students have to learn more, but we've covered all the stuff you really need to know for the project. Don't forget, it's due on May 5th. All my students that are out there watching, thank you for a great semester. It has not ended how I was hoping it would, because these classes are way more fun in person. I'm just glad we can at least do something here, so we can at least have some kind of learning. So I wish you all the best. I'll be around. So you can always write me if you need any help or any questions about the project or anything like that. Otherwise, I'm going to take off for the day. And I wish you all the best. So make sure May 5th by 11:59 p.m. you send that project to the company and CC me. Okay, I'll get your grades out on Compass. Well, now that I'm not doing anything because we're stuck at home still, I should get those graded a lot faster because I'm not trying to do a whole class online like the last project. So I wish you all the best. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day. And until next time. Oh, for those of you that are watching that are just wanting to learn, I will start having live classes again for a social media marketing class. I think the 3rd week of May. So I'll be back here doing some stuff there, and we'll have. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. Hey, Michelle. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. I appreciate it. I will be having. If you're subscribed to the channel, you'll see a bunch of social media marketing videos coming out right now, and there'll be social media marketing videos coming out for the next 2 months, because I'm filming a lot of them, like a lot. And then so it's gonna be a combination of those, and then I'm doing live videos as well, like class videos. So hopefully I'll have it set up a little bit different than this. It won't just be sitting here; it'll be a little more active. So anyway, I wish you all the best. Thank you, everybody that's here. Thank you, my students that were watching. Thank you to all the people that hopped on. I wish you all the best, everybody. Awesome job for everything. Congratulations on graduation, my students that are graduating. I know it's not the end of the 4 years we wanted, but I'm glad you are getting to the end and a new adventure awaits you. So I will say goodbye, and until we meet again.